So, Brandon Massey is no stranger to Black Authors Matter TV. I think we've had him on for his last five books, and he was also a featured author at the 2025 National Black Book Festival. So, Brandon, welcome back to the show.
Hey, how you
And I
doing?
see you have a backdrop now. Usually we see your office or something like your
It-
laptop
It's blurred out a little
is
bit. Yeah.
blurred out. Okay. So,
Yeah.
but welcome back to the show. And I did
Thank
want
you.
to, this is his book. So he can show you the book,
Yeah.
but I have the book
Backwoods. Yeah.
because our book
You
club
are
read
a
this book.
busy, busy man because the book that I read for the event was a new book, and now look at you now.
Yeah, he has a new book.
Another one.
Yeah. Our book club read this for January. So we had our meeting to discuss
Mhm.
it on the second Saturday in January. And it got a high rating. So
Good.
everybody,
That's good to
in
hear.
fact, everybody gave it the same exact number. And that hardly ever happens. So out of
Really?
5 stars, we all gave it a 4.25. Everybody.
Okay.
So
All
that's a
right.
strong
Exactly.
rating.
That's a very precise number.
Well, you know what happened? See, with the book club, the first person who rated it gave it that number. And so
Mhm.
then we all said, well, yeah, let me do that. And then the next person said the same thing. So that's how it got going. That's how it started. But
Okay. I'll take it.
you have a good storyline with this. And I just want to give a couple of comments on my feedback. I didn't
Mhm.
like the main character for a little while till it got later in the book.
Nick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because he,
Selfish.
as a
Mhm.
business owner, the moves that he made were just plain stupid.
But
And
I
I
think
was
Right.
I think that's the mark of a good character. I don't believe that a main character should be somebody that everybody likes. I think a
Mhm.
main
true.
character or a really good character, an effective character, should be somebody that draws emotion from the reader, whether that's going to be anger, whether it's going to be sadness, whether it's going to be joy, whatever it is, it should draw
Mhm.
something from that reader. So the fact that you didn't like the main character, that means that
Yeah.
it drew something from you. It made that character made you feel something. So that's a great thing.
It did. I grew to like him later in the book, but in the beginning, when he was making his business moves, I was very, very upset with him because as a business person, I'm like, that's stupid. So anyway, but he redeemed himself later on in the book, and it didn't go the way you did a good job of keeping
Thanks.
the reader uh on edge, but also not knowing what was going to happen next, like anticipating.
Yeah.
And it was not predictable at all. It's
Good.
not.
Good.
So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean with Backwoods, the story behind this one is I actually wrote this book about 8 years ago.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, yeah. And at the time I finished it, I wasn't really sure how it fit in with everything else that I was publishing. So I just set it aside. And most writers who've been writing a while, you have a book like that where you finished it, but you don't publish it right away for whatever reason. And then, I was just starting to. There's someone who's read pretty much all of my books from like the way, way back. So he had kept asking me, like, "Hey, you got anything else I can read?" I'm like, you know what? You keep asking. I'm gonna let you read
So
this
that's
book
why it
that's just
came
sit.
out so quick. That's why
Yeah,
it was so quick after the last book because it was already written. But
yeah, it
that's
was already
great.
done.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So, and so he read it, and then he had great feedback, and then I thought, well, you know what? Let me read it again. So I read it again. I actually liked how it turned out. I had some things I had to tweak a little bit, but um, just the basic story of someone who, um, is in this predicament with his business where he needs a tremendous amount of money in order to get from underneath the threat that this crime lord is posing. So he decides to hit up his granddad who's sitting on hundreds of acres worth millions. Um, I really just liked the core story, and then a lot of the historical aspects of dealing with the plantation and the overseer character. And that type of stuff I really hadn't touched upon in a long time, really since probably Dark Corner.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Now
yeah,
I'm gonna interrupt you for 1 second
yeah,
because I noticed I could feel the elements of Dark Corner in
yeah,
this book. So it was like a harken back to it. I was
yeah,
getting those feelings that I got from Dark Corner, which is my favorite book
yeah. I
ever.
know that's your
Mhm.
favorite.
That's my favorite. And it's still the
Yeah.
favorite. I think I've read 10 books or maybe more than that you've
Hmm.
written. And that one's still my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yes. Yeah. So, it kind of took me back to that story, and I just decided to just release it, and the feedback so far has really been great. I really um William Wells, who's narrated I think seven of my books, including this one. He did a great job with the narration. I know a lot of people really get into the audio version, so he worked on that, and I think he did a great job. So, um, yeah, I'm just excited at how it turned out and how people have been responding to it so far. So,
You
yeah,
know,
thank you.
some people say that, especially like when the movie 12 Years a Slave was
Hmm.
released, they say that, they don't want any more slavery stories. But I believe that just like with this book, there are still stories that need to be told, and there are different ways to tell the story and not make it a story of struggle or a story of sadness.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
maybe a story that just happens to take place at that time, but it doesn't mean
Hmm.
that it's a slavery story per se.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I totally get that because I like 12 Years a Slave. I mean, that was a really difficult movie to watch.
It is.
I
Um,
watched it once and
so
once was enough.
I was like, what's
There
no
was no
more?
joy. There was no
Yeah,
joy. There was no happiness. Even the ending,
yeah,
which was supposed to be happy, was still sad. And
yeah,
I just, it was just too much.
yeah,
It was too much. It was too brutal.
yeah,
And
yeah. It was, it was.
Roots had brutality. When I think about those, to me, Roots is just the classic, the epitome
Hmm.
of just a comprehensive story on that time period. And there was brutality in it, but because it was so many hours, I think it's maybe
Hmm.
12 hours of
Hmm.
programming or 10 to 12. It was spaced out.
Mhm.
Right.
Whereas 12 Years a Slave was in a 2 hour or less movie. And so
Hmm.
it just made it so it was just too much. So
Yeah.
in fact, if someone wants to watch something on that period, I would not recommend that movie. To
Hmm.
me, if you really want to know the comprehensive parts of that period, to me, Roots is still the classic because
Hmm.
it takes you from Africa all the way to
Right.
freedom and 4 or 5 generations in between. And it's just really,
Yeah.
it's a classic. But um,
Well,
I
I didn't
think,
want to digress too much because I think Brandon was
no.
actually about to make a point, though.
Mhm.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I was just going to say that. Normally that particular time period is something I tend to stay away from with stories because of the traumatizing aspects. I don't necessarily want people to pick up my books for that and get that. Like, oh God, picked up his book and it was traumatizing. I never want to read him or anything, like that again. I don't necessarily want that experience for people. So I felt like this story kind of tackled um, the whole overseer plantation slavery from a different angle, um, where really it's more of a family legacy type story. Not necessarily, white oppressed, black people being oppressed by white people necessarily. There's that small aspect with one of the characters, but this is really about Nick, his grandfather, and their, their ancestry, and how all that's gotten.
Humanized. You kind of humanized many of
Yeah,
the figures who lived during that time.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it really is a contemporary story. The whole
Right.
story is in the now.
Hmm.
It's
Yes,
just
exactly.
reflections on that time. So
Yeah.
it's not uh, a, a historical fiction story. It's
No,
a
no, not at
thriller.
all.
It's a thriller.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
and it's a quick read too.
Yeah, yeah. It turned out it's like 63,000 words. I tend to think of books in like word count,
Words.
but
Okay.
yeah, yeah, a pretty quick read. Hopefully people pick it up and it just, keeps their attention and it's not boring. I'm always going for that before anything else is um I want people that from the first page to just be captivated, feel
Yes.
like they have to keep going and going and going until, oh no, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I gotta finish. you know.
I have done that with books where you think you just
Hmm.
want to read one chapter and you're like, okay, I'm
Hmm.
just going to get to the end of this chapter and then I'll go to
Yeah,
bed. But then you get to the end of the chapter and it was so good, you have to know what's going to happen next.
right,
Yeah.
Kind of the
right.
Netflix, it's the Netflix syndrome. This is why I don't like watching series. If I want to watch something late at night, I'll watch a movie because if I watch a series, I'm going to want to watch the next episode in the
Exactly.
series. It's like reading your books. I'm gonna read this chapter, but then something's going to happen, and it's going to make me want to read the next chapter, and I'm not going to go to sleep. And fooling with you, Brandon, it is going to be 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to get up for work, and I'm going to be
Hmm.
tired the next day.
Like, damn him. Yeah, what's funny about Netflix is, and I know y'all have noticed, is once you watch an episode, like they immediately start playing the next one. Like they don't even give you a choice,
They do.
you know,
Mhm.
so
They
it'd be
do.
kind of
But
cool
some
if we
of
could
them,
do.
some of their stuff is like repetitious or formulaic, or some of their series
Hmm.
are the same. It's like,
Hmm.
and I can pretty much tell within the 20 minutes whether or not I want to keep watching. Um,
Hmm.
it has to have some kind of hook, not only with the
Yep.
characters, but now your books, your last so many books, I don't know. I've read the last five I've read, or maybe more than that. Anyway, I have the hard copy. I think before that I had Kindle. But I've noticed that your page count is right at 250. So have you found
Mhm.
that to be your sweet spot in terms of book length? Or is
Um,
it the
it's
page
really just where
word
it
count
turns.
and
Yeah,
then it
it's yeah, it just tends to be where certain stories wind up. Now when I first started writing and when I was under contract with Kensington, they actually have a contractual requirement for a book to be a certain number of words. So I think in my
Mhm.
contracts it was like 90,000 words, which if looking at a book manuscript standard formatting is like 400 so pages. Um, which is okay. I mean, sometimes like Dark Corner, I mean, the book was well over that.
It was
It
500
was like a
pages.
hundred. Yeah, like I
I
don't even know where all
loved
that
it.
came from.
It was
Dark Corner,
uh,
500 pages.
Dark
yeah,
Corner's 500 pages.
yeah,
Brandon.
this is long.
It's his longest book.
It
That
is.
Okay, Brandon. I'm gonna have to bring a snack for this one. I haven't read it yet, but I
you
will be
need to
reading
read
it
it.
this year.
It's his
I
best.
will be reading it this
It's
year, but I'm
a
gonna have to bring
five.
a
It's a six on a 5 point scale.
snack.
It is just
Yeah,
so good. But all of his books are good, and you have
thank you.
a good imagination and a great way of telling a story. and your character development is good. Um, you don't have a lot of slow sections where it's like a lot of descriptions. That some people get caught up in that when they write, and it just
Yeah.
like drags,
Yeah.
makes a book drag. Your book moves the whole every chapter something happens to where you want to
Yeah.
keep
Thank
reading.
you.
So
Thank
it's
you.
really good, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it if that wasn't true. So, and I wouldn't keep reading your books if it wasn't true. I got a ton of books on my to be read shelf, and but I found, in fact, I had just finished another book. Um, our book club meeting was on Saturday. I had just finished another book on Tuesday, so I didn't have that
Mhm.
much time to read
Mhm.
yours, and then I ended up reading half of it like Friday night and Saturday morning, so right before the meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it was easy to do, and
Thank you.
you know, it's good that you've been able to maintain your just your ability to weave a story without it being repetitious, and you're still self-published.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't know the traditional publishing. I mean, I'm still in touch with my old agent, but it's just so different now. Just some of the most successful authors I've seen, like Black authors, they are self-published. Like I did this event in Detroit. Y'all familiar with this author, Jaquel J? You familiar with
Mhm.
her?
Yeah,
Right.
she's been on the show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. She had. It was like she literally had like 500 people show up to this book signing. It was for this book club out of Detroit, and the line was out of the door. Like now, I've done a lot of book signings over the years. I've never seen a traditionally published author with a line like that. Like, and I've done signings with Eric Dickey, and he didn't have lines like that. It was crazy. So yeah, I mean, they're just at the end of the day, I think readers just want someone to tell them a story that they get captivated by reading. They don't
Yeah,
care if it's self-published or not. They
no.
just want a great story. So,
Brandon, I've got to say that a testament to you is that this book has only been out since October,
yeah.
and it's already gotten 141 reviews on Amazon,
Yeah.
which is amazing. So
Yeah.
the fact that you are getting people who are clamoring for your work. They're not just reading one Brandon Massey book and then moving on to something else. They are reading multiple Brandon
Yeah.
Massey. They're looking for your books and they are taking the time to leave a review, which means that you're leaving an impression on your readers. Um,
Mhm.
and the fact that you're self-published, this is you are actually kind of the blueprint for many self-published authors. What
Mhm.
is it that what is that one thing that you can tell self-published authors that they should be doing, or what is it that um I don't know, what is it that one thing that you think that they should be doing that maybe they're not doing, or what is that thing that you're doing that's really resonating with your readers?
I would say it's not just one thing. I would say it's a few things. So one is number one, write a great story that
Mhm.
people can't put down. Number two is package your work in a professional way. So great cover, good editing, all these things that, just make it look like a professional presentation.
Absolutely.
Um, the third thing, I mean, for me, I'm real big on just like I was talking about the audio book earlier. I found that probably about 40% of my readers want the audiobook. So I would tell authors, make sure your work is available in all these different platforms. Your ebook, your paperback or hardcover, and then your audio. That way you give yourself an opportunity to capture capture people from all those different groups that, I have people that they tell me, I don't read books, I listen to books. They say I listen to all my books when I'm
Well,
commuting
girl,
to work.
I
Yeah,
tell people all the time. I don't have time to sit down and
yeah.
just read a book. I love reading books, but with
Hmm.
my schedule, the way my schedule's set up, I don't always have time to sit down and actually hold a book anymore. So I
Exactly.
listen to them while I'm exercising, or I listen to them while
Yeah,
I'm driving. So
yeah,
I totally get that.
yeah. So that to me has really been critical is, and that's something I've really been focusing on the past few years is making sure every book had an audio edition. And I've noticed my audio sales have, like I said, they're like 40% of the total, and that was money that until I invested in getting those audio editions done, I was leaving that money on the table. So I would tell people, um, it's really important, and that's a market, that's a format that's growing still. Like the print editions, those sales are basically flat across the book industry. Um,
Mm.
but audio is growing. Younger people, you know, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, well, not Gen Alpha, but Gen Z, they're listening to audiobooks, the younger millennials, they're listening to audio. You see them walking around with their earbuds in all the time. Sometimes they're listening to audiobooks. So just, yeah, I'd say that's really
They're listening
important
to
for
music and they're
authors.
actually listening to books.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think it's, and I've also noticed, and this is just not something that you can really plan, but just a lot of these book influencers, that's a new thing. TikTok, Bookstagram. It might be worth for someone who's trying to get the work out there to reach out to some of these influencers and give them a review copy of
Mm.
your book. Some of these folks have thousands and thousands of followers, and they can really, help drive sales, visibility.
How
Have
many
you
books
had
do you have now?
I have out 19 novels right now,
okay.
and then a few short story collections. So like 20 plus um,
So,
at this
so
point.
another part of it is you've been around for a while.
Yes.
Um
Hmm.
you're not a person who wrote one book and thought that you were going to be famous off of one book.
No, my first book did very poorly. I tell people that like you can't count on your first book doing much of anything. It's the books after that. So yeah, that would actually be another good point. Keep writing. If the first book doesn't pan out, put out another one. Learn from that first one. Put another one out. Put another one out. And eventually you give yourself the opportunity to catch on because some people they may never read that first book, but they discover you with your third book or your second book or whatever. But
Right.
if you'd never written those, yeah,
So many people think, okay, I wrote one book, now I'm gonna set the world on fire. No, that's not gonna happen.
no,
You might
no.
end up setting your book on fire.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Gonna set the world on fire. And Brandon was a featured author at the very first National Black Book Festival.
yeah.
So
Thank you.
when
Yeah,
we were at George R. Brown. That's how. So that's how. And we're in year 19 of the event now. So that's how long I've known Brandon. A
yeah,
lot of the people who come on the show that are prolific authors, I met them 20 years ago or more
mm,
when we had, especially when we had the walk-in store, when we had our brick and
yep,
mortar. But
yep.
I don't think you ever came to the store.
I did. I was at the
You
store
did?
once. Yeah,
You did?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. See, I don't
yeah,
know. Um,
yeah. That was
so
like 20 years ago. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's yeah. Um,
Hmm.
I noticed your book, and I appreciate this as a person who's very anal about editing or unedited work. Your books are very well edited. I rarely
Thank you.
even see any mistakes, or maybe one or two, but they're very well edited, which I appreciate because
Yeah, thank you.
I books that aren't edited, like if I get to page chapter one and there's two mistakes on every page, you're gonna lose me because that means you were lazy or cheap and you
Yeah.
just didn't care.
Yeah, and I would tell people because I hear other writers say, who are getting started, say, "Oh, I can't afford to pay,
Mhm.
500 or $1,000. Like, well, just get 2 or 3 different people to read your people who read a lot, who know, you know, who are detail oriented. Get them to read your book. Um, but don't just think you can do it yourself because you can't.
Mhm.
Like,
No.
it amazes me sometimes when I'll send one of my manuscripts to the editor to review some of the corrections that get made. I'm like, I totally missed that. It's just,
Yeah, me
you
too.
can't
And as
see it. You're
anal as I
blind to it.
am, you
Yeah.
can't edit your own work because you're too close to it. You've
Yeah.
read over these mistakes 5 times already, and
Hmm.
somebody else will see them. Just like I will see, I edit, like when I see something on TV, like even the news, when they have the Chiron with the headline and they have a mistake, I see it immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just something that stands out. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for being on the show, and
Yeah,
congratulations on
my
the book
pleasure.
again. And for
Thank
those
you.
who want to, I have my copy and I read it. It's really good. Backwoods by
Backwards.
Brandon
Yes. Thank you.
Massey. And we're looking forward to your next book, whatever that's going to be.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Okay. All right. Have
Thank
a
y'all
great
so
evening.
much.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Thank you
have a
both.
great night. It was
Okay.
good
You
talking with
too.
you once
Good
again.
talking to you again. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye bye.